Clerk call roll, please.
Alderman Putoff.
Here.
Ferrari.
Here.
Waldorf.
Here.
Lukosius.
Here.
Radke. Mueller. Sapienza. Payton.
Here.
Mayor Harrell.
Here, pledge of allegiance. Okay, I'm going to switch the agenda around just a little bit. We have Economic Development, Mr. Bob Vickery, that has a couple things that he wants to say, and then we will vote on one of the city ordinances now, and then we'll go back and start over on the regular agenda. So, Bob?
Okay, there we go. Mayor Harrell, members of the City Council, thank you. Tonight we're here to give you an update and announce a potential opening of a retail store in downtown Peru. You have it on your agenda tonight. Several months ago and over the past year and a half, we've had residents come to us and say things to us like, gee, we wish we had a convenience store, we wish we had another store in downtown Peru because we've lost some. About a year ago, in fact over a year ago, we met with Dollar General in Chicago, and we talked to them about locating in Peru, talked about Route 6. Now, we looked at Route 6. The problem with locating something on Route 6 was the depth that they needed to get trucks into their rear of a store to facilitate loading and unloading. So that didn't work out. The other area of the city that they also liked was on Peoria Street, and they've settled on the northwest corner of 6th and Peoria Street in what you know as the City Public Works Building, the current City Public Works Building. Part of their strategy for liking that site was a rooftop strategy. They talked to us about there will actually be people who will walk to their store as opposed to drive, because they have this strategy about they want to be near the rooftops. They want to be close to where people live. And that's one of the reasons they did like that. A little bit about Dollar General. They're an S&P 200 company. They're one of the largest small box retailers in the country. They have 12,198 stores in 43 states. They carry more than 10,000 products. They have 112,000 employees and $18.9 billion in annual sales. So far this year, they've opened 730 new stores. Now, one of the things that, and I'm going to ask Eric Carls to join me here, one of the things that the development team looked at, Mayor Harrell, Administrative Services Manager Burnaby, Mr. King, looked at was we wanted to talk to them about a building that would fit the community in that location. And so we asked them to put upgrades into the building so it is very aesthetically pleasing. Now, Eric led the way on that. So, Eric, do you want to pick it up from there?
Yeah, a few of the items that you'll see that will be included in the development agreement, aesthetics to the building, we agreed upon, and as part of that conversation as well, to also bring up the fact that we invited the chairman for the Design Review Committee as well as the Zoning Board and Plan Commission to a meeting early on with Dollar General so we could all come to an agreement on the appearance of the building. You'll notice in the agreement, you'll see the different faces of the building. It'll be a combination of materials such as split face block wall or hardy board, similar to James Hardy board. We'll also have signage and landscaping plans that will be submitted to the city for review. There'll be some down lighting on the building to accent along Peoria Street. And then we're also going to have them construct a privacy fence surrounding the perimeters to the north and west of the building. That fence material will have to come to myself and the Design Review Committee for approval. So you can't just throw up any type of fence out there for screening. We'll be reviewing all those things, but back to the building, it was important to us to have something, I don't want to say out of the norm, but not what maybe you're used to seeing similar Dollar General stores in and around the area. We'll be having, they said, about a 10-foot high split face block wall accompanied with some James Hardie board, and then the north and west face of the building will be all James Hardie board. So.
Thank you. Are there any questions from any members of the council at this time? I think Attorney Schweikert has been working with the development agreement, so I'll step back and let Doug take it from here.
Yes, we had an ordinance authorizing execution of an agreement for private development between the city and DG Partners, LLC, doing business as DG Partners Midwest, LLC. It's a Missouri limited liability company, and the desire to construct a Dollar General store on the site of the present Public Works building through the city sale of the site described in Exhibit A, the construction of certain public improvements by the developer, and construction of a Dollar General store on the project site. It's necessary and advisable to redevelop the project site in order to arrest economic and physical decline in the city and promote a policy of stabilization and revitalization. The city finds the development of the projects a matter pertaining to government affairs of the city. The city finds there will remove a blighting influence in the city, increase the real estate tax base of the city, increase sales taxes of the city, and increase employment within the city. Now therefore be it ordained, City Council of the city finds this facts and recitals here before set forth. The mayor, on behalf of the city, is hereby authorized and directed to execute, and the city clerk, on behalf of the city, is hereby authorized and directed to attest the sale and development agreement between the city and the developer, and substantially the form attached here too. The mayor and city clerk further authorized, directed to execute any minor changes to the agreement as determined by the mayor, as long as it's in substantial compliance with the agreement. Such other future documents as necessary to fulfill the purposes and intents of this ordinance. The attached agreement provides for the sale of that site to the developer for $1. It provides that the possession to be given to the developer on May 1. It requires the developer to begin raising the structure on the property and to complete the raising of the structure by July 1, and then to commence construction of a new Dollar General store on the property by August 1 and complete it before year end. As city engineer pointed out, the east face will be a split face block wall, the north face Hardie board, south face split face block, and the west face Hardie board, and the signage will be that as approved by the City Design Review Committee and city engineer. Attached and what was handed out to the public are the footprint of the proposed development set forth in Exhibit B, and then C is the traffic flow of trucks into the site for the delivery of their inventory. As with all agreements, there are a number of contingencies in the agreement. So there is an agreement, but the agreement is contingent upon the developer, one, obtaining financing, but they've done a number of these throughout the country. Approval by Dollar General store, and really a lot of these things have been what's been worked on over the course of the last year, and the feasibility and the acquisition of the property at 1016 Peoria Street. So that property would have to be acquired too. All those are contingencies. So given the time, effort, and expense already incurred by the developer. We would be hopeful that the project would proceed, but any one of those contingencies not being met, they could back out and would have no legal obligation under the contract.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion that we accept the ordinance as written and read.
Who was the second? Have a motion by Alderman Waldorf, second by Alderman Sapienza to approve the ordinance as written and read. Is there any discussion?
Well, I think it's definitely something that the city needs in that residential area, instead of people having to drive all the way out to wherever they have to go. I think it's definitely something that will be very beneficial to the residents that live in that area.
Okay.
Mayor, may I?
Yes.
I want to thank the development team, which is comprised of Mayor Harrell, Mr. Burnaby, Mr. King, and Mr. Carls. We had numerous meetings, and I think sometimes they got tired of me calling meetings, but had a good outcome. Thank you.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Have a roll call vote, clerk call roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius. Radke. Mueller. Sapienza. Payton.
Motion approved. Okay, thank you, Bob. Now we'll go back to the agenda. Is there any cards filled out for public comment?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, we have a motion to receive the minutes, place on file.
So moved, Your Honor.
Second, Your Honor.
Have a motion and a second to receive the minutes and place on file. Is there any discussion? All in favor, signify by aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried. Okay, do we have a motion to receive the financial reports and place on file?
So moved, Your Honor.
Have a motion and a second, and I know we have more financial reports grouped, so is there any discussion? You know, for instance, we talked about the electric finance, the water finance, so is there any discussion
Your Honor.
on any of the finance?
I just wanted to report out the sales tax for the month of July. Last year's total was $832,968, and this year's total for July was $872,892, which was a substantial increase from years past, and overall it's about a 5% increase according to last year's at this time. So in that itself, it's very positive that we have shopping dollars going into the city of Peru because it's so important of the services that we rely on.
Anybody else on the treasurer's report? Was there anything that changed very much, or you want to report on, Treasurer Hyla?
You know, I think I've talked to several of the council members over the last couple of weeks. I think when we do the next treasurer's report, the committee of the whole meeting afterwards, I think we'll put a little presentation together. Because I think there's so many good things out there that are happening to the city. I think Alderman Putoff just kind of talked about the sales tax, but we really have a very, very, very solid financial footing here. I don't think that the city's probably ever had the cash reserves that they currently do. And I think it's going to be fun to talk about in a little bit.
How did you want to do that, Gary?
I think the next monthly report, which will be October's, in November at one of the committee of the wholes, we'll put together a little presentation.
We may want to coincide that with the audit too, at the same time, where the auditors are here to present that.
And I think that will also kind of dovetail into what Justin is putting together for the reserve position for the general fund.
Okay, any of the other reports? All right, all in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Committee, Finance and Safety Services, Chairman Putoff.
Oh, yes, Your Honor, the first thing we have is disbursements, total disbursements for
November 4, 2015, are $2,963,842.65. I move that we receive those, place it on file, and pay the bills in the usual manner.
Second, Your Honor.
A motion by Alderman Radke, second by Alderman Ferrari, to receive the disbursements, place on file, and pay the bills in the usual manner. Is there any discussion? Have a roll call vote, call the roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Mueller. Sapienza. Peyton.
Motion approved.
Tonight, Your Honor, we have a motion to approve a $3,000 contribution to NCICG towards the local share to match the 50/50 annual planning grant from the United States Department of Commerce and Economic Development Administration. In your packet, it tells really basically what the NCICG does, and what they do is they need support of the cities to file the matching grant that will enable them to reach out to get grants for different avenues for city administration. So that is something we have done in the past, something we've supported, and tonight there is a motion on the floor to do that again.
I will second that.
I have a motion by Alderman Putoff, second by Alderman Ferrari, to approve the $3,000 contribution to NCICG. Is there any discussion? There was a public hearing today at the LaSalle City Hall for the enterprise zone. It was at 2:30. It was advertised in the legal section, and NCICG was there. The local communities, Peru, LaSalle, Oglesby, Utica, and LaSalle County, was denied their first request at redoing our enterprise zone. So we're reapplying again, and today was the public hearing with the court reporter and everything. So that part's done, and then we'll be applying for ours to be renewed.
Which is one of the craziest things that the state has done with that, because definitely there's a lot of counties within the state of Illinois that have that ability, and without that ability, of course, it doesn't spur development like it could. So that is unfortunate, and hopefully it will be reapplied to our area.
Some of the criteria was the jobs that it will create, the unemployment rate, and quite frankly, with some that were renewed and a few new ones that came in, I just didn't see it. But I wasn't on the board. I didn't make the decision. I didn't make the vote, but I didn't see it. So we're reapplying again. We're good until July 31st, 2016. We could apply for an extension to December 31st, 2016, but then it would be over if we don't receive another one. So we'll see, but that's part of what NCICG does for us. So we have a motion by Alderman Putoff, second by Alderman Ferrari. We'll have a roll call vote. Clerk, call the roll.
Alderman Putoff. Aye. Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Sapienza. Peyton.
Motion approved.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion to approve quote for security system access control from SECO in the amount of $11,299 for the Peru Municipal Building. This is Phase 1. Chief Burnaby, would you like to give us a little what this is?
Yeah, briefly, it's phase one of probably a three-phase program over the next couple of years that we'd be looking at to enhance security. This is key fobs and whatnot to enter the doors, gives people access. We're able to track who's going and coming and that sort of thing. And it also has an alarm system from many points in the building that if somebody requests police assistance, they'll be able to push a button, activate it, and it'll go to the police department and notify the officers that there's a potential issue at City Hall. So if we had a situation anywhere in the building and anybody was uncomfortable with what was going on or just had a bad feeling, they could push it and an officer would walk through. So it's the first step in our safety plan, and like I said, over the next year or two, we'll probably be back with additional recommendations.
Second.
I have a motion by Alderman Ferrari, second by Alderman Radke, to approve the quote for security system access control for $11,299. Is there any discussion? Have a roll call vote, call roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Sapienza. Peyton.
Motion approved.
Second, Your Honor.
I have a motion by Alderman Payton, second by Alderman Ferrari to receive fire department report and place on file. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Your Honor, tonight I have the city-approved 10-year pro forma plan, and I'd like to make a motion to receive this and place it on file.
Second.
I have a motion by Alderman Putoff, second by Alderman Radke to receive the 10-year pro forma and place on file. Is there any discussion?
Your Honor, I just wanted to point out that this long-range plan is one of the most important tools that the city can use. I appreciate the work of Justin Miller, all the department heads, and again, working with the city council and treasurers. It's a real detailed plan for the financial stability of our city. It includes our debt structure, infrastructure investments, and a real guide to our future. It's kind of the key to make all important decisions in our future. It's very detailed, and again, for the general public standpoint, I encourage everybody to take a look at it. But it really serves as a strategic plan for our city on where we need to go and the abilities or what we will have as mechanisms for funding in the future. I think there's been a real conservative guide to it. You'll see the sales tax increase is slightly about 1% over the next 10 years according to the plan. You see other tax increases very low or none. You see electric sales at the same rate and water and sewer also at the same rate. So you see as far as revenues are, it's really, I would say, very slight in that department. But most of all, it's a key to take a look at future funding and really looking at the debt structures and everything else in a very worthwhile piece of material. And thank you. I know it took hours and hours to do this, but certainly this was a top priority for the city. So again, I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have the motion by Alderman Putoff, second by Alderman Radke. If there's no further discussion, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Yeah, I'd also like to say, Justin, nice job on that. I did my graduate work in finance, and it really projects sources of income and expenditures on giving certain assumptions, and it has very conservative assumptions in there for the next 10-year period. Also, there are two uncolored sheets. You should look at the total indebtedness and the amortization of that indebtedness in both the operating funds of the electric department and the water and wastewater funds. But the schedules show you as to when those bonds are callable, or, if they're non-callable during the course, and also the interest rate. So, giving what you can invest certain funds at and what you're paying interest at, it gives you a good guide if you want to defease any bond issues early.
And again, if future city councils follow this plan, I think you're certain for, stability within the city approved from a financial standpoint.
Yeah, I just wanted to add thank you for all the consideration there, and respect to Treasurer Gary Highland Council for doing a really good job managing debt over the last, 5 years at least, as far as I can see back. And I think it's in a very respectful way, a bright future for the city. I also have 5 copies here on hand that can print off any more if any members of the public would like to take one.
Okay. We already approved that, so do you have police pension?
Yes, Your Honor, make a motion to receive and place on file the police pension actuary report.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
I think the actuary report is really an important tool for the city of Peru on how we meet those pension obligations in the future, and certainly it will be placed within our total audit and something that the city will take a top priority for in the future. And that, again, is available for the public to see. It's done by Foster & Foster, which represents the actuaries and consultants.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Anything further from finance? Public Services, Chairman Waldorf.
Yes, sir. We have a couple of reports here. Alderman? Second, Your Honor.
Have a motion by Alderman Sapienza, second by Alderman Waldorf, to receive Public Works report and place on file. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Your Honor, we also have the Public Works Monthly Report for September 2015. I'd like to make a motion to accept that report and place it on file.
Second, Your Honor.
Okay, so we just have Alderman Mueller. We didn't go in order here. Well, what'd you do that for? Why did you do that, Alderman Sapienza? Okay, so we did the building and zoning. That was Alderman Sapienza, second by Alderman Waldorf. This one was a motion by Alderman Mueller and a second by Alderman Waldorf for the Public Works report. Is there any discussion after that? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried.
Next, Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion to approve an engineering agreement with Chamlin and Associates for Combined Sewer System Long-Term Control Plan Area 3, Combined Sewer Separation Phase 1.
I will second that.
Eric, you want to give us a little update, or Mike?
Certainly. If you remember earlier in the year, we were looking, planning for next year, at Area 1, Phase 4, we're working towards. And we've now moved over to Area 3, and reason being, there's a portion of Peoria Street that still remains unseparated. So in order to finish the next phase of Peoria Street, we need to concentrate in Area 3. As part of that, Area 3 Phase 2 will run with the next portion of the Peoria Street reconstruction. This portion of Area 3 Phase 1 is from West Street working west, north on Grant, and then north all the way to 7th. And then goes either direction, east and west, towards West Street, and then west towards Schuyler Fulton area. So.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, I'll have a roll call vote.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Bekostas.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Sapienza. Payton.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Next, Your Honor, we have a motion to approve Vissering Construction as construction manager for the proposed Public Works building, contingent on the final contract approval.
You know, I think that should be probably to authorize the city engineer to negotiate that contract with Vissering. Probably be better phased that way.
Can we change that?
Yeah, I think you should entertain a motion to authorize the city engineer to negotiate a construction management agreement
Can we change
with...
that? It's not worded that way on the agenda. We can.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the same thing, essentially.
All right, well, I will rescind that motion and change the wording to authorize the city engineer to approve Vissering Construction and construction manager for the proposed Public Works building, contingent on the final contract approval.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Waldorf, second by Alderman Lukosius, for city engineer to negotiate with Vissering Construction as construction manager. Is there any discussion? Have a roll call vote, clerk call roll. One.
I think basically the first step tonight for the Public Works building was the new development that we talked about earlier. And that set, I think, the wheels in motion for the next step of looking at the Public Works building. And committee, if you want to blend in and tell us what the ideas are from the Public Works building.
Well, we have more equipment than can fit in the Sixth Street, building, so we're storing that other places. With Dollar General coming in, it's a perfect opportunity to look at building a new, Public Works building up, near the electric, complex on Plank Road. We will, look to, have, more yard space and eliminate some other areas, around town. And, you know, it's something that we're going to, move forward with. And Eric, if you want to jump in, please.
Yeah, certainly. As you know, the planning towards the Dollar General development, we have done a lot of the preliminary work on setting a floor plan for the new building. Met with the guys in the Public Works Department for their needs. All of those things were taken into consideration in the planning process. The construction manager role on this project will be a sub-role of mine, with their expertise when it comes to the internals of the building and the actual construction of the building. As Public Works Chairman Waldorf alluded to, gives us more space. Laydown yards will be eliminating some of those around town that we currently utilize, as well as utilizing additional storage that we currently don't have or we rent elsewhere. The building that we're looking at currently is a precast building. Hopefully have foundations in yet this month, and by schedule, it appears that we could be in the building as early as July of next year.
I think it's important to note too is, I think from the committee minutes and the discussions that we've had, the precast was basically chosen as something that will blend in with future development in the north area. We do project that someday that will be open for development, and the precast look is something that you can change, something that you will look maybe a little nicer than a steel shell. And cost difference really isn't that great. I think another thing we have heard that the city is putting it on city-owned property too, and that there won't be any bonding or loans for this facility. And I think that's important to know from a taxpayer standpoint, that the city will not be going in debt for this.
That's correct. And if I could add on that as well, the cost estimates is related to a traditional metal building, a precast building, or a hybrid building, if you will, where a steel frame is utilized with the precast paneling. They were all very similar in pricing. We're also looking to add a safe room, if you will, a storm shelter area for all of our public works and electric employees. So the precast building allowed us to utilize the safety concern.
I think one other thing that we should talk about is the funding. So I don't know if, Justin, you can touch on that. It was touched on in this year's budget, and it was also touched on, it was discussed at the budget hearing that we had this year, the funding mechanism for the building. But if you can maybe describe that to the public that's here.
Yeah, absolutely. So we obviously budgeted for it in this fiscal year. It looks like most of it will probably end up costing in the next fiscal year, but we'll just reallocate that going forward. But the plan is to use reserves from the electric light fund and then pay back the general fund, pay back the electric light fund over time to nullify that cost. And I think from an accounting perspective, it makes pretty good sense to be at about $50,000 a year, because that's what the depreciable expense will be from the electric light fund. So on an accounting standpoint, it'll almost net to zero. Of course, you're draining cash flow up front and over the life of it, paying it back.
But as Alderman Putoff said, we'll take cash. There's no bonding or no borrowing that's required.
Yes, correct.
I think it's also something the council's talked about, at least for as many years as I can remember, is that building is completely outdated, structurally not able to really facilitate what you want to do. And sooner or later, the city would have to take care of this. And with the opportunity of the development coming in, it works out real well.
Eric, I think you should also address the request for proposals that you had sent out and who you sent those out to.
Yeah, we.
They were
sent out-
advertised, but I
Yeah,
mean,
we sent out, for a qualifications package to fill the construction manager role as a portion of the project team. The project team is comprised of myself, structural engineer, and then an on-site construction manager. Those qualification requests were sent to, three local companies that provide this type of service. Vissering Construction, DJ Sickley Construction, and Phelan Steel. It was also advertised in the paper for a few days. We received back 2 qualifications. Within that packet that I sent out were different areas of determining factors on the selection process. I then took both of the qualifications package and scored them and provided each of you with a list of scores as well as my recommendation after that review process.
One of the key factors that Eric shared with the council was the ability to get the foundations in quickly with it because of the development kind of coming in our front door. So it was important that we moved ahead with it. And I think that was an important point, wasn't it, Eric?
Yeah, a very
with you?
important point was in the packet submitted by Vissering that was on my recommendation was their ability with the size and expertise of their project team to utilize and those individuals and accomplish different aspects of the project at a single time, which allowed them to speed up their project schedule.
And
I think if we look at the math on the whole thing, if we take a look at the building itself, what it's like right now, we can see that over the next 10 years, we're going to spend a fortune in trying to keep it up, to maintain the thing. And if we subtract that out of the price, and then we look at the revenues that will be coming in from the new development, I think we can pretty much see that down the road that'll help to pay for the building itself. And we put all the things together, and I think opportunity definitely knocked on our door this time, and we were ready to open it. And I have to commend all of you that worked on this project. This was quite an opportunity for the city. It served several purposes, and it looks like it's financially it was a very sound move.
And Eric, I think one of the points you want to explain is people have asked, why do you need a construction manager? From a professional standpoint, point that out to us.
Yeah, certainly. This is an area of expertise, if you will, outside of mine in the civil engineering world. This is a building construction. This person takes on the role of assisting in putting together bid packets for building construction, and quite frankly, my time is better well served on other municipal projects that we're currently working on. We have a very large volume of infrastructure improvements, as all of you know. Given the expertise these guys do, Vissering specifically, the recommendation about $70 million worth of construction annually on these types of projects. Their project team is comprised of people with 20-plus years experience. The manager's role, specifically on site, is to put together bid packets, submit those packets to me for review, which then I solicit for bids. That person is the on-site coordinator for the daily activities, ensuring that the schedule remains on task. Change orders, if you will, are kept to a minimum, that they're kind of the eyes and ears of the city and the daily routine. And the important thing to hit on, too, is with the construction manager role is each of the individuals that we sent out for request to submit their qualifications, it doesn't omit any contractors from bidding this work. The construction manager role is simply that on-site expertise that works as part of our project team.
we'd see, under the statute, you submit a request for proposals for engineers, architects, and related persons, and then you have to rate or qualify those qualifications, or quantify them in a numbering process as he did, without reference to cost. No, The engineers were very successful, and architects very successful, I guess, in getting that passed by the state legislature. But that's the way they handle professional services. And in fact, even doing research on that, there was an appellate court case under a prior statute and says, no, you can consider cost, put it right in the request for qualifications. Well, and the state legislature amended the statute to provide that you don't make that as part of the process until after you rank them, and then you talk and negotiate with them. So on that process of negotiations, at least, we obtained for Eric, and it'll be up to him to negotiate that contract because he has a familiarity with it, but we did obtain the construction management contract between Vissering and Peru Public Schools and the addition that was just put on Northview. So he has those numbers, and we also obtained the one between Hall and Leopardo Construction. So he has some good documents to work off of, and he knows where it should be.
Yeah, we've done quite a bit of due diligence in how we attack this project, and we have had some time working towards this with the Dollar General Group and their development, and knowing what we would have to do and plan for the city and what was the best way to attack the construction of this building. And just to hit on the determining factors that were sent for the qualifications package, it was based on general qualifications, their general company experience, specific record of accomplishments with similar projects, skills and abilities of their project team personnel, so they would submit resumes for each of the individuals proposed on the project, performance data, not limited but including their cost control and scheduling procedures. So we wanted to have an idea on how they coordinate work, as well as provide value engineering to the city to identify areas where we can have cost savings in the project. And then also their personal workload and schedule availability, because we knew that this was going to become a fast-track project if and when the Dollar General development became a reality. And then lastly, references. So each of those determining factors were weighed when going through this process.
Anything further? Okay, we'll have a roll call vote. Clerk call roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Sapienza. Payton.
Motion approved.
Well, moving on, thank you everyone for their input. Eric, for your expertise. It'll be a good addition to the city. So, Your Honor, with that, there's nothing else from Public Services.
Okay, report city attorney, ordinances, resolutions.
I'll take the first one on behalf of Attorney Herb Klein. This is an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of an intergovernmental agreement by and between the City of Peru and the County of LaSalle and Dimmock Community Consolidated School District number 175.
Did we have a motion to approve the ordinance as written and read?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second, Your Honor.
Have a motion by Alderman Putoff, second by Alderman Waldorf to approve the ordinance as written and read. Is there any discussion? Have a roll call vote. Clerk call the roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Sapienza. Payton.
Motion approved.
Next, we have an ordinance authorizing execution of a commercial real estate lease with Illinois Valley Excavating for storage of street department vehicles. I understand the Mays building was no longer available, so the administrative service manager found another parcel. It's also at $800 a month. So it's for a 6-month term, commencing November 1 now, and then would continue for 6 months, and thereafter it'd be on a month-to-month basis, of course, until the new building gets constructed.
Your
Okay.
Honor, I will make a motion that we accept the ordinance as written and read, please.
Second, Your Honor.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Waldorf, second by Alderman Lukosius to approve the ordinance as written and read. Is there any discussion? Have a roll call vote. Clerk call the roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius.
Aye.
Radke. Mueller.
Aye.
Sapienza? Peyton?
Motion approved.
Next, an ordinance amending the City Code of Ordinances, Chapter 50, Article 2, and it deletes the definition of a chronic nuisance premises. And in our ordinance, that was defined as any premises that has generated 3 or more calls for police service for nuisance activities that have merit as determined within the discretion of the investigating officer. Such premises will have received more than the level of general and adequate police service and have placed on an undue and inappropriate burden on the taxpayers of the city. That's what we had in the ordinance. Now that would be removed, and it has to do with an amendment or a new state law to address the situations of domestic violence. So, to make sure we're in compliance with that, if anyone's subject to domestic violence, technically under our ordinance, if they kept calling because of events at the household, it could be deemed a chronic nuisance premises, but this would remove that and not be any impediment to anybody to call the police for any reason.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion to accept the ordinance as written and read.
We have a motion by Alderman Mueller, second by Alderman Sapienza, to approve the ordinance as written and read. Is there any discussion? Roll call vote, clerk call roll.
Alderman Putoff?
Aye.
Ferrari?
Aye.
Waldorf?
Aye.
Lukosius?
Aye.
Radke?
Aye.
Mueller?
Aye.
Sapienza? Peyton?
Motion approved.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Okay, unfinished business. Have any unfinished business?
I'd like to ask Mike, how are we coming on the, return on the surveys on the 13th Street, floodway?
We had, as of last week, we had about 33%, and we sent follow-up letters back out following the Public Service Committee meeting, so nothing really new other than that.
Okay, fine.
Any other unfinished business? New business? Okay, under new business, every year about this time we are anxiously awaiting our insurance premiums to see what happens with our property casualty insurance, our health insurance. So I'm happy to say that this year our workman's comp, auto liability, portable equipment, auto physical damage, and property insurance came in with a savings of almost $71,000, $70,699 for an overall 12% we went down. Of that 12% that we went down, we've got to thank Jeff King, who operates our safety department. Because of that 12%, 15% of our reduction was due to workman's comp alone, which was almost $60,000, $57,876. So we're down to $219. The year before was at $277,685. All others included the auto liability, portable equipment, auto physical damage, and property went down $31,287. So we saved 12% overall. Now the nice thing about this, about saving the $70,699, is that due to our financial situation, because of the careful planning that we've had and the 10-year program that Alderman Putoff was just talking about, we are able to pay. We have option 1, 2, 3, and 4. Under option 1, you would pay your 1 year, pay it one time, one installment of $518,464.00, which is a savings of, they will give us $5,184, so it's the invoice amount minus 1%. In the past, we have done option 4, and in option 4, you would pay the full amount plus $5,184. So quite frankly, that's almost a $10,300 turnaround, just because we've been able to save up our money. We're ready for this bill to come in. It came in favorable, $71,000 less than what we were the year before. And once again, thank you, Jeff, because it's all towards our workman's comp. Our workman's comp history the last 3 years has been going down, 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 and it's just it's very gratifying to see that something is finally taking hold. So, for our Illinois Municipal League Risk Management Association insurance, which once again I'll say the workman's comp, auto liability, and comprehensive general liability, portable equipment, auto physical damage, and property is good news. So we'll see what happens with our health insurance. So that was a great job, Jeff. Very good. So now, as you know, the state of Illinois is trying to figure out their budget. I don't know when that'll happen. Nobody knows when that'll happen. Apparently there's a meeting scheduled for the 18th of November. In the meantime, all the municipalities are suffering because of the state not being able to handle their budget issues. Everyone knows, doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on, everyone knows that you need to discuss it, you need to figure out a plan, you need to work on your plan, which we've done, and it's starting to show up here. It's been showing up for a while, but here's one right here with our safety department that we did not have before. The Illinois Municipal League, which I'm on the board, has issued, this is not on the agenda, so I'm just reading this. This is a resolution urging Illinois state leaders to release non-general funds payable to local governments. Now, once again, this small town that we live in of 10,000 plus people, we are in arrears by $65,000 in gaming since May, and we are in arrears of $60,000 for motor fuel tax since May, and some other money as well. But we're in the $125,000 plus dollars since May that, quite frankly, it's owed to us. That was the promises made by the state, and it's owed to us. So whereas the state of Illinois has been operating without a fiscal year 2016 state budget since July 1st, 2015, and whereas the absence of a budget has resulted in the state withholding over $150 million in revenue owed to municipal governments for lack of appropriation authority, and whereas critical local services such as road construction, which everybody should remember in here that we were going to do the Venture Drive relocate this year, but with the governor saying that our LGDF was going to be reduced by 50%, which was around $500,000, we put that project on hold. So there's one road construction project, and once again, a small town of 10,000 people. Maintenance and repair will remain underfunded until state leaders take action to release motor fuel tax funds to municipalities. We received a letter, Eric, last week or two weeks ago now, telling us that IDOT has no budget and IDOT has no funds, and proceed as you normally would, but don't count on it because we don't have anything. So it's very unlikely you probably won't even have a spring letting. It's getting too late in the year now to have a spring letting, so you're looking at everything being backed up. That's millions and millions of dollars. That's already after the governor did pull $500 million out of the IDOT fund. So, whereas municipal budgets and basic services will be negatively impacted without the release of local use tax, video gaming fees, and casino fees. There's some towns that rely very heavy on their casino fees, Des Plaines, Joliet, the Quad Cities, and none of that is coming in. I won't read now, therefore be it resolved, because we don't have this and we won't be voting on this tonight. And then we're being asked by the Municipal League to send a letter out to Governor Bruce Rauner, Comptroller Leslie Munger, Senate President John Cullerton, Senate Minority Leader Christine Radonio, House Speaker Michael Madigan, House Minority Leader Jim Durkin. The city of Peru has become increasingly concerned that the state budget impasse is preventing the distribution of several sources of critical local revenues. We respectfully request that immediate action be taken to distribute these funds that are otherwise payable to municipalities during the 2016 state fiscal year. Funds withheld to date include revenues associated with motor fuel tax, casinos fees, video gaming fees, use tax, and 911 service fees. We have some 911 facilities, not in Peru, but we have some 911 facilities in our area that are in very poor financial situation, and they're, quite frankly, they're going broke without these fees. Consequently, the distribution of these funds will have no impact on the state budget. These dollars are collected by the state and accumulated in special funds for the specific purpose of distribution to local governments and local programs. The failure to distribute these funds is creating unnecessary hardship for local governments and their constituents. Without these anticipated revenues, municipalities may be compelled to close emerging budget holes through program cuts, tax and/or fee increases, increased borrowing, or combination of these actions. There are many towns that are turning to public safety, and cops are going home instead of being on the street. Firemen are going home instead of being on the street, and it's a bad situation. None of these actions, all of which negatively affect local taxpayers, will be required if the state were to simply distribute the local revenues presently accumulating in various state funds. Once again, we urge state leaders to release these non-general fund revenues that municipalities rely on for essential services. What we're talking about here is, hopefully it hits the floor on November 10th, which is House Bill 4305. And please, anybody call your representative in Senate and make sure that they know, because the House bill says right here, for apportioning, allotting, and paying as provided by law to counties, to municipalities, to counties for distribution, to road district, $582,500,000 is what's out there right now that is not being distributed. Will this hit the floor? I don't know. We'll find out. But there's some issues downstate, and as I said, everybody realizes that something needs to be done. But this is something that quite frankly, you don't need to feel the pain on it. It's a pass-through, and it has nothing to do with the budget. So I will send a letter out to Governor Rauner, Comptroller, Senate President, Senate Minority, House Speaker, and House Minority. Absolutely. I'll be in Springfield on that day to talk with our representation, and if it hits the floor, let them know that Peru and other constituents. The IML is currently putting together, I believe, quite a contingency of mayors. There are many mayors associations throughout the states that are talking about filing lawsuit. Will it do any good? Will it hurt? But that's what's out there right now. I can't. Does anybody have anything to add on any of that? It's a bad situation, and once again, everyone knows that something needs to be done, something must be done. We addressed many of the issues in Peru years ago, and it's showing up, but you can't just drop the axe on things, in my opinion. So, anybody else for new business? Petitions, communications.
Yes, Your Honor, I have a communication from the City of Ottawa inviting city officials to learn more about participating in the America in Bloom program on Thursday, November 5th, 2015. A letter was sent to Mayor Harrell inviting all the city reps to come out and meet with Miss Evelyn Alamani of California, one of America in Bloom's top judges, on the evening of Thursday the 5th. Primary reasons for her being there is an opportunity for communities and people throughout the Starved Rock country to learn more about many advantages of American Bloom participation.
Do we have a motion to receive the communication placed on file, and anybody who would like to go over?
So moved, Your Honor. I will try and make that meeting on Thursday.
Second. That's this Thursday, the 5th. I have a motion by Alderman Mueller, second by Alderman Radke, to receive the communication placed on file. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
No further communications, Your Honor.
Public comment. Do we have any public comment? Should have some public comment. OJ. How big? It looks like our footprint's going to be 100 by 300, so therefore that's 30,000 square feet. We estimate the cost to be at, what, $65 per square foot, somewhere in that area. So we're probably looking at, when it's all said and done, probably in the neighborhood of $3 million. And I'll let Eric go ahead and explain the construction manager.
That's correct. Yeah, and that's, we're still involved in that process. So there is a full project team, and that is how it works. You know, if you look at the construction at any of the local schools recently, where there is a construction manager, it's common that they do win portions of that contract. It's split up into different bid packets, if you will. So there'll be a packet for the actual shell of the building, a packet for the foundation of the building, a packet for finish work, a packet for painting, and a packet for tiling. They may win some of those packets, that's correct, but there will always be project oversight by myself, and of course our structural engineer will be involved.
Those bid packets are sealed.
That's correct, they're all
To
sealed.
him.
They're solicited by my office, they come back here for public opening, so it's very transparent.
No, that's a good question, and it should be brought out, but Eric's gonna be opening those bids.
Bob, are you guys still taking donations? Is there a way that, for the club? Can you tell where people donate, how they spend their money?
And Bob,
Big budget.
Bob, God bless the
And Bob, thank you. I guess you picked up the mantle from Greg since he's retired, or? No.
Target or as participant?
Now, you're every Monday night.
It's gonna be every Monday night.
Okay.
First Monday night.
Thank you, Bob. Any other public comment?
Mayor, if the council wouldn't mind, there is one other thing I'd like to address. I know there have been multiple questions on the CM role and clarification, and I think it's best that I read a portion of the qualifications packet request that was sent out to each of them. And underneath clarification of the CM role, I will just read the bottom portion here. Project team consists of team leader, myself, consulting engineer, our structural engineer, including representatives as determined by myself. That could be the city attorney from time to time, if we so wish. All works products completed by the CM will be formally submitted to the team leader for formal review and approval by the project team. No bids shall be solicited, addenda published, contracts awarded, submittals approved, pay requests approved, or any other similar actions without formal review and approval by the project team leader, myself. So, as you can see, it's pretty well spelled out that I'll still have final say over everything, and all the bids will be solicited by myself, and everything will be turned in here at the city.
Okay, anything else under public comment? Okay, we have a motion for adjournment. Your Honor. Second?
Second.
A motion by Alderman Ferrari, second by Alderman Radke, meeting adjourned.
Aye.